I get a lot of emails asking me to talk about the Sabbath, what we're supposed to do, what we are not supposed to do, etc. The Torah says that it is forbidden to work on the Sabbath. But the question that we need to ask is, what type of work is the Torah referring to? What is the definition also of the word Sabbath? When it comes to the Sabbath, there are a number of items in the text which are worthy of careful consideration. Everybody knows that when reading a translation, you have to be very careful. We actually file the statement that I just made in our brains when we are reading, but when we take the English, we take it as if it were 100%, and it isn't. Here's one grossly misleading element of taking the English on face value or at face value. Exodus 20. Remember the Sabbath day to sanctify it. 6 days may you work and perform all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to Yah, your Elohim. You shall perform no work, neither you, your son, your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, your beast, nor your stranger who is in your cities. We'll look at all these because they're critical. For in 6 days Yah made the heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and he rested on the seventh day. Therefore Yah blessed the Sabbath day and sanctified it. Let's zoom in on verses 8 and verses 9 for a second. It says, remember the Sabbath day to sanctify it. 6 days may you work and perform all your work. The word work appears twice, as you notice here, but they are utterly different words, completely unrelated words. Even though the English translates it as work, translates both words as work. One is tavod and the other is melaktecha, avodah and malacha. Tavod or avodah means work, which could result in sweat, loss of energy, aching muscles, exhaustion, or being tired. Malacha, on the other hand, has no connotation of that whatsoever. The two words translated as work are two entirely different concepts, completely different concepts, but the English usually translates both of them as work. So when the text says do no work on the Shabbat, you would have to pause and find out, is it talking about avodah or is it talking about malacha? What am I being asked not to do on the Shabbat? Then the next verse tells us also, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to Yah, your Elohim. You shall perform no work. So we know that there are two words that is being used for work here. What am I being asked not to do in Exodus 20 verses 10? It says, you shall perform no work. If there are two words that the text translates as work here, avodah and malacha, then it's crucial to know which work we are talking about here. Are we talking about tavod? Or are we talking about malacha? What I am being asked not to do here is actually malacha, not avodah. Now, malacha is not well translated as work. Tavod or avodah is tolerable translation. We can tolerate it, but not malacha. Translating malacha as work is a little difficult. So I would give a rough description of malacha. Notice I choose my words carefully by saying description and not definition. So a description of what malacha would be is an action which is intentional, skillful, creative, and has physical transformation. I repeat that. An action which is intentional, it is done skillfully. Intentional meaning that is not by accident. Skillful meaning that is not done in a clumsy, inefficient way. It is creative and has physical transformation. This is what is prohibited on the Sabbath. Malacha. So you have to take an action to find out, is this action prohibited on the Shabbat? You have to take that action and place it through the lens of the description of malacha that I just stated. Not a definition, but a description. Is the activity intentional? Is it done skillfully? Is it creative? And does it have any physical transformation? If the activity or action fits into this description, then it's a paradigm of malacha. It is a paradigm of the work that we are forbidden to do on the Shabbat. So for us to even start what is Shabbat, what I'm doing is I'm trying to find out what we are prohibited from doing on the Shabbat. Because if one wants to understand what Shabbat is, one will have to understand why this particular type of activity is forbidden on the Sabbath. This is not talking about aching muscles, weightlifting, moving furniture, or getting exhausted. Intentional, skillful, creative, physical transformation. Take this description and place the activity that Yah was performing in Genesis 1 at the foundation of the earth, and you will get an idea what he was asking us to stop doing on our Shabbats. What was he doing? Because when you go to verses 11 in Exodus 20, it says, for in 6 days Yah made the heaven and the earth. So he was doing something those 6 days. The sea and all that is in it. And he rested on the 7th day. Therefore Yah blessed the Sabbath day and sanctified it. So what was he doing? Was his actions intentional? You bet. Skillful? You bet. Was it creative? You bet, because that was what he was doing. And was what he was doing having a physical transformation on this physical world? You bet. This is where the description, and notice, I'm not saying definition, but this is where the description of what malacha is coming from. Because that was what Yah was doing at the foundations of the earth, and he rested, so he's asking us not to do the same thing. What was he doing? He was performing an act that was intentional, that was skillful, that was creative, and it was having a physical transformation on the earth. No wonder Moshe chooses the word malacha and not avodah when he was asking us to keep the Sabbath. It's also interesting that the root of the word malacha, what we are asked not to do on the Shabbat, is malak, which is angel. When angels do work here on the earth realm, when angels who are spiritual beings, do work here in the earth realm, are the activities intentional? Yes. Are they skillful? Yes. Creative? Of course. And do they have physical transformation? Definitely. This is what we are asked not to do on the Shabbat.